So we're here for another daily event with Luis Scott Vargas's version of Kago. Let's go. That is not a hand we can keep. That is a hand we can keep. It's pretty nice actually. If we had extra lands, it would be. So our opponent kept this hand. In general, we're going to play as if our opponent's aggro in this format. I can't think of the only deck that we'd run a turn one spell pierce against. The only cards we want is against a black discard spell, and not many decks run these main board. So let's see what happens. Okay, so our opponent's probably Jund, which makes his hand a little bit more awkward, but if we draw some lands, we'll be fine. That's nice. I'm sorry, when I say Jund, I meant Valakut. Our opponent's probably Valakut. And Sword of Feast and Famine is very important in this matchup. Next turn we can hold up Spell Pierce and flash in our Sword of Feast and Famine at the end of turn. And if he plays a Cobra, we can just bolt it on our turn. So Overgrown Battlement or Cobra. Cobra is nice for us to see. Here. So if he does play a Cultivate or some such ability, I think we'll Spell Pierce. Otherwise, we're going to put the sword into play. Okay, Colony Heart. If he plays a mountain after the Colony Heart, he might have a bolt for our Stoneforge. I think we just want to counter it now. Keep him off the mana he needs. If we draw an untapped land, we can play Stoneforge, fetching up the Basilisk Collar, and have the ability to put the equipment into play. Okay, so we drew blue mana, that's just as good. We can hold up Spell Pierce and put the equipment into play. So our opponent's going for a Cobra, which is fine. He's got a fetch land, giving him access to 4 mana this turn. So he's got another Colony Heart Expedition. We can Spell Pierce it. He'll be able to pay for it, but it'll put him off one more turn on his Colony Heart. Well, it'll make him lose a landfall trigger. I think we're going to do that. Spell Pierce is running out of usefulness as it is right now. And doing this now ensures that it'll get some effect in. So he can still crack it and he can pay for the Spell Pierce, but Spell Pierce has already used up its usefulness for the most part. With his Lotus Cobra on board. It may have been a problem if he has Green Sun Zenith in his hand. I don't know if he would have been able to generate enough mana to pay for it, though. Okay, so he's got his Colony Heart. So there's, without a Harrow or an Explore next turn, or a Fetch Land and a Cultivate, he's not hitting the Colony Heart Expedition. So we'll reduce him to 2 cards in hand. Let's see what he discards here. We're putting a considerable amount of pressure on him. So next, when we untap, we'll equip the Basilisk Collar and the Sword of Feast and Famine to the other Stoneforge. So he discarded a Harrow, which means he probably has some finishers in his hand. And we'll pass the turn back to him. It's also quite possible he has another Harrow in his hand, in which case Colony Heart would be able to go off and he generate a lot of mana. So Cultivate, we'll have to have a fetch land to go with it too, or another Cultivate. The nice thing about Cultivate for him, though, is it puts a basic in his hand, making sure he doesn't have to discard a Primeval Titan to our Sword of Feast of Famine. If we draw another land next turn, we can swing with the Celestial Colonnade as well, and that will be nice. Let's see. So he's got another base. He's playing the land from his hand. That gives him up to 3 mana, or 4 mana here. So our opponent He might have an Oracle Moldiah. Um, he might have another Cultivate or Harrow. If he has a Harrow, the Harrow itself generates 1 mana, turns on the Colony Heart, which generates 2 more mana. So he would have 5 mana total, which is not enough to play a Titan this turn. I'm sorry, he'd have more than that. He'd have, with this trigger, 4 plus 3, 7 mana, so he could definitely play a Titan. If he has a Harrow and a Titan in his hand. It looks like he's passing without using the mana, though, which is nice for us. So we can swing with our Colonnade this turn. We'll also swing with the Stoneforge. I don't care if he trades with it. We don't have to worry about defense because we can have the Celestial Colonnade stay back on defense. So we put him on a 2-turn clock here, or close. He can always chump block the. He can block the Stoneforge next turn. He discarded a Colony Heart. So his last card might be Primeval Titan. If it is, that'll let him turn on his Valcute, and that'll be pretty bad for us. Okay, explore. I think we might have this one. If he had a Primeval Titan, it's an obvious slam right there. We have no cards in hand. So yeah, we got the game. So in this sideboarding, we change into a more of a control deck. We bring in Body of Mind for its ability to mill away mountains. Tone Magnet we take out. Arc Trails, I believe we take these out as well. They only hit Cobras and Oracles. I think we'll keep in the Lightning Bolts. We want to bring in our counter spells though. Twisted Image can hit Overgrown Battlements, but we didn't see any from him yet, so I don't know about that. Basilisk Collar is definitely taken out. Gideon Jura is rather weak in the matchup. I mean, he's usually just a 6/6 attacker. He can come down as a attack me guy, but for the most part, he's just a 6/6 attacker, and we don't need him that late. I think this is what we're going to run with here. Bolts can hit Oracles, Cobras, and they can go to the Dome. We certainly can win. We're the aggro deck in this matchup, so even though we're bringing counter spells, we're still the aggro deck. So for the most part, I think this is what we want to run.